this week I know we're learning all about ponds. And a fun game that Easton and I like to play together is sink or float. So I thought it would be really cool to show you guys all how to play our sink or float game at home too. And in my bucket right here, I have some things that live in a pond or live near a pond, and I also have some silly things that don't live in a pond. And I'm gonna let you guys figure out if they belong in a pond or not. And if you think they're gonna float, which means they're gonna stay on top of the water, or if you think they're gonna sink, that means it's gonna go all the way to the bottom of my pretend pond, and it's just gonna sit at the bottom, so that'll be sunk. All right, Easton, are you ready? Okay. All right, first we have a ball that has fish. Do fish live in ponds? Fish do live in ponds, good job. Do you think this ball is gonna float at the top of our water or sink to the bottom? All right, let's find out. Our fish ball is floating on the top, so it's floating, it didn't sink. So if you said float, then you are correct. Good job. We're gonna put this back here. Whoa. All right, what's gonna go next in our pretend pond? A turtle. Do you see turtles when you go to the pond? I've seen a turtle in a pond. Lots of turtles that like to stay on top of logs. I've seen some with babies behind them, so it's a whole family of turtles. Let's see if this pretend turtle is gonna float on the top or if it's gonna sink to the bottom. First, you guys guess. All right, let's see. Oh, this turtle's floating in our pond. He didn't go to the bottom, he's floating. So if you said float, then you were correct. All right, next we have a fork. A fork? Do forks live in ponds? No, that would be so silly. All right, do you think this fork is gonna float and stay at the top, or do you think it's gonna sink at the bottom of the water? All right, you can guess. All right, let's find out. Oh, did you hear that? It went plunk and went all the way to the bottom. You can't even see it floating on the top. So the fork doesn't float, it sinks. If you guessed that the fork would sink, then you are correct. All right, next we have a snail that's a sponge. Do you think that snails live in ponds? Yeah, Ethan knows snails do live in ponds. They are sometimes on the leaves near ponds, sometimes they live in the water. Let's find out if this sponge snail is gonna float at the top or sink. Ready? It stayed at the top. So our sponge snail floats. It does not sink. Let's get all this water off this snail. All right, now we have a toy rubber duck. Do you guys ever see ducks in a pond or floating on the pond or waddling all around the pond? You probably have, because ducks do live near ponds and in the pond. Let's see if this duck is gonna float just like the ones I saw at the pond, the real pond. Or maybe he'll sink. I guess we'll find out. My toy duck floats just like the real ducks. Very cool. Woo! This is one of Easton's favorite pond animals, the ducky. All right, next, a toothbrush. Do toothbrushes live in ponds? They do not. That would be so silly too, just like the fork. All right, do you think this toothbrush is going to float or sink? All right, take a guess. Okay, let's find out if you're correct. Oh my goodness, this toothbrush sunk all the way to the bottom under the water, so it doesn't float, it sinks. Yeah, that's right, it doesn't float. All right, yucky. Now, a frog. Do frogs live in the pond? They sure do. This is just a pretend frog, and it's made out of rubber. Let's see if this frog will float on our pond or sink. Oh goodness, he really dove so fast and went all the way to the bottom of my pond. So this frog doesn't float. This frog sinks. All right, bye-bye, frog. All right, now we have a choo-choo train. Do trains live in ponds? No. Let's see if our toy train will float at the top of our water or sink. What do you think he said? Oh, all right, let's find out. Okay, so at first it looked like he was gonna float, but then some more water got in it and he's sinking to the bottom. So this train sinks, it does not float. All right, bye-bye train. We have a few more. A snail, another snail. Let's see if this snail sinks or floats. We learned earlier that snails do live at ponds, so let's see if this pretend snail will float or sink. It floats, very good. You guys are so smart, I can't even trick you. This is called a lily pad. It's a type of plant that likes to live on top of the waters of ponds. And this one though isn't a real lily, but it's shaped kind of like a leaf. Do you see it? Let's see if this one is gonna float or sink. First, I'm gonna let you guess. All right, let's find out. Oh my goodness, this one floats just like a real lily pad. All right, now we have a dinosaur, Easton's other favorite animal. Easton, do you think this will sink or float? Oh, he already knows the answer. He doesn't want to give it away. All right, let's see. This dinosaur floats. He looks like he's diving into the water. Dinosaurs don't live in ponds, but we can pretend today that they do, right? All right, last two. An orange. Do oranges live in ponds? No way. Let's see if this orange will float at the top of our pond or sink. Wow. So this is tricky. This orange didn't sink to the bottom. It's not floating on top. But since it didn't go all the way to the bottom, we're going to say that this orange floats. Wow, that tricked me. I thought it was going to sink. All right. Last one. We have a penny. Do pennies live in the pond? No. Sometimes people might throw a penny into some water and pretend to make a wish though. So you might still find a penny at a pond, but they don't really belong there, right? All right, let's see if it's gonna float or sink. I'm gonna make my wish. And then you throw the penny. And look guys, it went all the way to the bottom because pennies do not float, they sink. All right, thank you so much for joining me today. I want you guys to go around your house and find a few things that you think you could play this game with. You can choose whatever you would like. It doesn't have to be at the pond. And you can just fill up a bathtub or a little bin like this with water, and you can play your own game. All right, I'll see you next time. Bye.